Right. Okay. So welcome to the maiden episode of Aha Biz. In this webcast, our goal is really to we're scouring the land, no, for um insights, for data, for best practices out there, and really getting a feel of what's happening on the ground and see whether we can learn something from what other companies, other leaders are doing right now in order to cope with this new normal that we're in. Because as you know, it's business unusual for all of us. No, we have to harness this crisis. We can't just be sitting around and waiting until this pandemic ends. We have to do our part right now, and that's what we're doing. We want to give the tools. We want to give you some ideas on how leaders are doing it right now. So how we'll do this is together with our media house team, Mina, Chini, and Sarah. Say hi. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
So the whole team, each of us will be presenting or we will discuss one particular case study wherein we can get some ideas, we can get some lessons, we can get some learnings on how they are coping and actually starting to thrive during this crisis. So
Dandy,
who?
I have a question. I have
Yes,
a question. Do you
yeah.
want to allow you guys to do your rounds first, or can we interject at any time?
We can interject at any time.
Okay,
As
good.
in, it's a very open conversation. Now we encourage everyone. If something from what, for example, Mina presents, um, something you want to explore more or is interested in, you can shout out your comment. You can shout out your opinions. That's fine. Just as long as you can open your mic anytime.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's start with Chini. Are you
Hi.
ready?
Yes, I am. Okay.
Go.
So, yes. Okay, so we all know that social distancing really altered yung consumer spending and behavior natin. People say that social distancing is kind of like economic distancing also because you're literally stopping people from buying. So you're kind of having that recession, pretty much like the one from 2008, diba? Um, the one in 2008 from the States. So right now, the first sector that is affected most by this is yung retail because they have no choice but to temporarily close down or shift to e-commerce. So in my research, the most affected sectors, among the most affected sectors, the retailers might not be able to restart until Q2 or Q3 of this year. So, one of the biggest challenges, kasi right now to leaders is, although they have a grasp and an intellectual understanding of what's going on, it's not exactly the same as internalizing the reality. So, McKinsey's research also suggests that to build resiliency, how? Why not learn from the retail resilience of the past? So, the research that I got was um, circling around TJ Maxx. They are one of the retail resilience from the U.S. recession, and they're the one of the largest clothing retailers in the country. So in the states rather. So what did they do differently? During the recession, um, they instead of cutting down on costs and everything, they actually increased their advertising spending by 15% to consumers outside of their core. And another thing that they did was when resilient,
Sorry,
not, yeah,
Chidi.
yeah,
Um, you seem to be. I might have missed it. You're referencing a past crisis,
yeah,
or is it?
because
With,
yes, I am.
TJ Maxx did this when?
Back in 2008. So my rationale for this is kasi right now we don't necessarily have, I mean, we already have some samples here of companies that are pivoting Actually, Mina, Sarah, and Dandy will be able to share this then later. But what I found is like it's kind of like asking your grandparents what did they bring to the war in their time. So what TJ Maxx did was an actual example kasi of um, how they made the most of the crisis. And as yung research nga ni McKinsey said, that it's something that that people facing the coronavirus can probably learn from. So did that answer your question?
Yes, although as a businessman myself and observing what's going on, I am going to be very skeptical to actually almost incredulous at what you're saying because 2008 crisis was nowhere near this global and in proportion, no? So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like apples to oranges. And so if you were to make this point, Chini,
Yeah.
I would say that show me somebody who's doing it right now. That I would believe. That I would be, because that's apples to apples. But the I'm sorry, 2008 financial crisis, yeah, that was big, but it was like kulangot compared to what's going on right now, where all consumers are wiped out everywhere in the world. And it's not just one industry, retail, that's suffering, it's all other industries. So it's very much apples to oranges, and I'm skeptic. I'm like laughing at this point. This is, unless you can show me somebody who's doing this right now, and then I could learn from why they're doing it. I would be very skeptical about what you're saying. So this is my way of feeding back to you um, the standards of rigor when we compare. We can't go back to 2008. This is so different.
Okay, fair enough.
Sige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about companies that are actually starting to pivot right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go ahead with my case study that I was able to research and I want to share with you guys. There's this um, hipster coffee brand in the States called Alfred Coffee. If you're familiar with the catchphrase, but first coffee, that's them. So they were founded in 2013. Um, Now they boast of 15 locations across the US and Japan. They're not as big as Starbucks. But here's the thing. What's interesting about Alfred Coffee is that they're building a lifestyle around their brand. They're offering up merchandise that let their customers engage with the brand beyond their core, which is, of course, cafes, coffee, teas, stuff like that. In other words, they have successfully married a successful brick and mortar business with a memorable online presence. Now, how is that relevant to these times? Forbes actually featured them as one of the perfect examples of how to pivot during these times of COVID. No, so what's their problem? Of course, they're a brick and mortar company. The most pressing problem is, of course, closed shops mean no customers. So what they're prioritizing in right now is strengthening the brand love of their customers. How do they do this? Um, First, they're maintaining their sense of community. How does this look like? For example, they would send out newsletters, tutorials on how to do cold brew at home. So these are small, fun ways for them to engage their customers and still feel relevant while their customers are staying at home. Because Josh Zad, the CEO, believes that after this crisis, these small things that you're able to do for your customers, they won't forget this. So after this crisis, you will be on top of their head when everything goes back to normal. So that's his mindset about this. Another thing that he's doing and he wants other companies to do is, of course, offer online services when possible. What's good with them is that they have such a strong online presence already coming into this crisis. They have already created a following. Now they are launching a coffee subscription program, which allows customers to enjoy coffee while in their own homes. So that's just one point. Of course, for restaurants, a lot of restaurants right now are putting a lot of effort into their delivery services, stuff like that. So these things, no, these small things that all add up to how they are able to adapt to this new normal. Another thing that I want to point out is um, they also are taking care of their own people because um, they recognize that this is the really the high time for when people realize how valuable their people are. Their people are their best resources, right? So one of the things that the CEO is doing every morning now, before they start off their meetings, they start off by going around and everyone shares something positive, like what they did for what they made for dinner last night, or what's um, what's positive about working from home, stuff like that. So the CEO believes that when leaders are being this transparent to their people and they let teams speak up, it creates a culture of collaboration and creativity. So I think there are some intersections to these with Nina's case study naman, right?
Yeah.
Uh, may I? May I?
Yeah.
So I don't know who else in our audience loves this case study. Yeah, I'd like to thank Dandy. This is, um, but I would like to reflect on what you said now because I don't think that, what is it, Alfred? Sorry,
Yeah,
what
it's
Alfred?
Alfred Coffee. Yeah.
So Alfred Coffee, I don't think that what they're doing is just tactical little tricks now. So I wouldn't call these tactical tricks to keep your brand loved. I think what they're doing, if I were to reflect on this, and I would encourage you maybe as the AHA Biz team to develop, as we're going through this every day, you're gonna start developing, seeing patterns, and some patterns that are worth really developing and building out because they represent deeper, more founded, deeper, not just tricks, not just tactics, but uh, foundational elements. So there are some
Right.
foundational elements I see that what Alfred is doing. First of all, they're being true to their brand. No, it's different
Yes.
times, but if this were a human being, this human being did not suddenly change. In
Yeah.
fact, what the crisis brought about was they became truer to themselves, no? And their customers will now have a chance to see an even deeper side to who they are, what kind of character they are, no? So they're being true to that. I love the fact that instead of shrinking, they are trying to again stay relevant in whatever way they can. Certainly, accompanying people who are stuck at home in their home journey, in the coffee dimensions of their home journey, is a nice touch, no? So I would encourage your team to kind of file this as a tag, if you will, because as we're doing this, we're going to encounter so many case studies. I want us to start tagging these, and you're going to see this theme. I think how do you nurture brand love in a time like this? And maybe we can start um, outlining our own body of intellectual property and own original thoughts, of course, accumulated from others about this topic and about many other topics, which is what will make this AHA Biz, much stronger. So I like that. What I
Right.
like about that is it's current. No, it's current. It's not because I would be skeptical about what happened. If it's current, then it's all things being equal to what's happening right now, which by far the world has never experienced before.
What I
So
like about this story is that even if Alfred is a relatively small company,
yeah,
it just proves that even big companies can learn from these small companies that are more agile.
yeah.
There's a lot to be learned from their stories. So that's why I wanted to share this particular story. But let's move on. Who wants to go next? Mina, Sarah,
Ina.
Mina.
Okay.
Sorry. One last point for your filing, because Dandy brought it up. Another tag is precisely, I can almost verbatim quote what Dandy said. Develop a body, maybe it's an article or a blog post later on, X number of things, 5 things that big businesses can learn from agile, smaller agile companies in a startup, in a restart environment. Okay, because you just brought up a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay pa. So, si Dandy, she mentioned something from the States. So, I wanna go naman dito sa atin, something that is closer to everyone. So, part ng affected ng ECQ is the transportation since the government suspended transpo to limit people's movement. So, I wanna focus on Angkas and what they did to pivot their business. Of course, they're also using motorcycles, so they're also affected by the social distancing na sinasabi sa atin. So, since what they're doing is into transpo, they pivot it into Angkas food. So they did this to augment their bikers' livelihood because a lot of them are really daily wage earners. And then some another part that they're trying to address are the customers who are struggling to cook or who don't know how to cook. And I think the third part are the restaurant owners then, especially the small ones po. Admittedly, Angkas mentioned that food is not their expertise, so they're just trying this out. Like us, they have a lot of kinks, so they developed something. Now this is very lo-fi. They did a Google Slides lang of the current partner restaurants that nakipag-partner sa kanila. So they announced that they're going to do Angkas food on March 23, and the very next day they launched it. So very rapid prototyping. And then a few days later, kasi the Google Slides kept on nag-shut down siya since a lot of people are trying to use it. They iterated again. So they moved it to their website. They incorporated it na.
Can I
So,
comment? Ay, sorry.
yeah, so you go.
Ayun, I love the fact that kahit transpo sila, which is yung pinaka least of yung concerns ng mga tao these days, they actually were able to merge it into something na necessity ng mga tao. And
Yeah.
I like it kasi it's because they looked around and saw kung ano ba talaga yung things that people need to make them still relevant. So, yun, it's nice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
actually,
think it's beyond just wanting to stay relevant, no? It's really coming from a genuine place of wanting to serve people and looking at themselves and what do we have right now in order to be of service during this time. Parang I don't feel like this is only parang a marketing gimmick to them. Alam mo yon? Parang it doesn't feel like that. And what's important is, i-add ko na lang din, parang with their marketing materials, if you see their Facebook posts, their announcements, they're so transparent. Even the language,
Oo.
you would see the sincerity with the language that they use.
Example.
I can't pulit pero example nga, Mina, ano sabi nila?
for example, I'm going to show you guys their Google Slides. I'm going to present it to you.
Ano yung sinasabi nila sa social media, yung mga press
So,
release
sa
nila?
social media, yun nga, sinabi nila na hindi namin to expertise, but we're gonna do this for you guys and for the riders rin talaga. And so, we have to bear with them. Sabi niya, please bear with us kasi nga, hindi namin to alam. So, this is not our, talaga, area. Hindi ito yung arena nila talaga. They're really,
They're showing their vulnerable side.
yeah.
Can I add? I love this also, no? But let me just inject a heavy dose of business reality here.
Yeah.
Number one, Angkas has to do this. It might be sincere on their part. It might be marketing, whatever. They have to do this because nobody's going to be riding their riders in a time like this. Their business is dead. They have to do this. They have to iterate. They have to pivot. First point. Second point, which is good, right? They did. It's better than saying to your, I don't know, tens of thousands of riders, sorry, I give up. We're Angkas. That's our business model. And there's community quarantine, social distancing. So obviously we can't be of service. We'll see you in 3 months, right? I mean, what they're doing is better than that. But let me point out something, and I'm going to call on Miguel Aranas here. Isn't this a case in point of why you start with target stakeholders, not with problems, right?
Yep.
If you start with target stakeholders, you are not boxed in. You are not going to be able to say, well, I'm just a ride sharing company, right? And so this is my limited world, and I define my problems according to I am a ride sharing company. They started with target stakeholders and said, look, we serve human beings. These are the needs of human beings. They need to eat. They might not be able to ride. They cannot leave their homes. So the most logical point is we have a fleet of riders who are used to going around the metro. Why don't we send them to go pick up food, right?
No, that's definitely. I mean, when you focus on people, they're gonna have other needs that you might be able to serve. So instead of just focusing on what your business model is, usually the number one rule for like pivoting is to like take a step back and look and exactly what other needs can I actually serve.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, aside nga from delivering food, maybe they can also do yung groceries na mismo eh. Kasi people are really afraid of going to the grocery right now. Like apparently one person who tested positive for COVID, sa grocery lang siya nagpunta. So it really gives us another sense of fear na shit, mag-grocery pa ba ako? But if you have these people who are at your disposal and you have the means naman to pay for them, then why not do?
Let me just ask a question before we still have one member of our team who is up. What makes this Angkas food service needed or relevant when we have Lala Moves and Grab Food and Food Panda and all that?
Well, there are a few riders right now. There is a demand for riders po. So they
Uh,
are
Yeah.
I guess that makes mathematical sense. The demand side, everyone's at home, and there aren't enough riders, so there's more than enough for everybody
yeah.
between Grab, Lala Moves, and ano. Is that right?
From
Yeah.
that though, not all of the restaurants are in partnership with Grab with ano. There is still a lot of restaurants na walang ka-partner na Grab, na Lala Food or whatever. And
Okay.
these I believe are the ones that Angkas is partnering with. Kasi I'm just guessing, pero
Yeah.
I tinanggal na nila yung parang red tape in terms of partnerships. Kasi ano yan eh, there's a stringent process eh for you to be able to be a partner of Grab, of whatever. So I think tinanggal nila yun.
Well, the whole world is lowering its stringent standards. I mean, they're taking last year medical students and making them go to the field.
Exactly.
They're taking retired doctors who would have had to go through hell to get recertified and telling them go straight back into the field. So when you're like this, in a situation like this, the standards can go out the door because otherwise people are going to die. So last but not least,
I will just add din kanina dun sa sinabi ni Miss Dandy about dun sa red tape and stuff. Kasi I think this Angkas food is like a pabili service. So hindi kasi Grab Food has their own accredited restaurants nga. So but then Grab also has a pabili function. Pero now it's not enabled now. So Grab Food lang ang enabled ngayon. So which is why yung Angkas food will give more options sa mga people on where to buy their food. So yun lang.
okay.
So yung sa akin, sige, I will hook on na sa social media kasi for yung case study ko ngayon is about how a local brand used online marketing to their advantage while at the same time being empathetic sa nangyayari ngayon. So
Sarah, to give context to Sarah's story, no. Kasi a lot of what we've researched, we learned that online marketing is really something that you have to harness during these times, especially because everyone's online, right? All eyes are online. So this is high time for you to communicate your brand through social media, for instance. So, and this is ito yung jump off point nung story ni Sarah on how a local company is leveraging on this on social media and on email and content marketing.
Yes. So, yun sabi nga ni Miss Dandy. So, people spend more time now sa online more than ever. So, kasi since dahil sa lockdown, they find other ways to engage sa labas. So, of course, internet lang ang makakapagbigay nito sa kanila while being at the comforts of their home. So, ang case study ko for today is Ligo, if you're familiar with the Ligo brand. So, Ligo, as we all know, is a household brand in the Philippines. So, para siyang yung CIC there for around 60 years na, and staple na siya sa Filipino households. Main product nila is sardines, but over time, nag-iterate din sila and they added more products sa line nila. Like mackerel, squid, corned beef, meatloaf, and those stuff. Actually, meron din silang potato chips na ngayon. So, what made their social media strategy different? So, ngayon, through their social media posts, they are pinaparating nila sa people na they are vigilant and critical of what is currently happening in the country. So I will show you some examples of how they did it.
So just to add to what Sarah's saying, of course, who among us hasn't seen one of these Ligo ads on social media? Probably Andre has it because you're not on social media, you're not on Facebook. But they've been doing a lot of these ads recently. This is one of those social distancing, please. Do you have more?
Yes. So ito yung isang instance on how they display yung pagiging socially relevant nila this day. So yon yung pag-promote nila ng social distancing, which is yung yung pinopromote ng lockdown ngayon. And then next is ito, they're being critical of what is currently happening sa Philippines. So, alam naman natin na nag-grant ng emergency powers si Duterte, but we're not feeling it now. So, they made an advertisement out of it na parang na may shade na no special powers needed. So, parang nagets lahat ng mga tao na kung ano yung pinapatamaan nila with this brand, but not totally harming kung sino yung pinapatamaan nila. And then yung isa pa is yung about sa mass testing. So we all know na we need mass testing now to determine how really the numbers of cases dito sa Philippines. So
I have a question. Is this brand pangmasa?
Yes.
Of course.
Because
It's Ligo.
their advertising is pretty highbrow.
Yeah.
This is
Hindi
this is-
kasi the bosses behind Ligo right now are actually millennials.
Millennials, yes.
What's their name? They're brothers, right?
Tung, the third generation line of Tung brothers.
Ayun. They're
So,
millennials.
Yeah, the third generation na sila na nag-run. So, actually, rin sila, relevant sila lately because popular choice sila for relief goods ngayon. So, mas maraming tao nakaka-recognize sa kanila. And then ito, just to maka-angkla kay Ate Mina, they partnered with Angkas kasi 'di ba just like what Ate Mina said earlier, Angkas yung strength nila is to transport goods. So what they did here is they partnered with Angkas to deliver personal protective equipment to hospitals and frontliners. So kasi sila syempre supply chain sila. So they can't disrupt yung normal supply chain processes nila. So they partnered with someone who can deliver yung goal nila.
Okay.
I had a light bulb moment bigla na it's really important nowadays kasi nakita ko yung word na faster. Parang this just emphasizes all the more yung need ng mga companies to really act fast kasi yung messaging especially can flash by so fast as in sobrang in an instant pwede siyang mawala kaagad sa mind sa mga tao. So I like na they're really acting fast on yung mga marketing nila and everybody gets it. Except for friendly si Andre.
Yeah, remember that part of our collective exercise here is keywords, no? every day we want to see keywords from you guys, no? So good
Yes.
good point. Sige.
So last na point na on what they did what they did to in this situation. Well, medyo may pagka-philanthropic siya. Although it really boosted their brand na they flashed this advertisement that they allocated all their advertising expenses to uh, to donations. Yun nga, pambili ng personal protective equipment, to be donated sa mga hospitals and frontliners, and yon. So kaya parang yung mga tao mas naintig sila sa sincerity ng brand, and therefore kahit na hindi sila maggumastos for their advertising, people on their behalf advertise for them. So yung ibang tao na, because they were touched on Ligo's move, sila na mismo yung gumagawa ng mga posters ganun, and they advertise it sa social media. Hindi ko na lang na screenshot.
That's
Pero-
what's ironic about this, no? Parang the more that yun nga, parang they reallocated their advertising budget, the more pa na people are organically sharing their content. And this is really a testament to the power of their storytelling, and in this case, brand storytelling. In this case.
Also yung sinasabi mo, Dandy, kanina about brand love. Parang
Yes.
people are loving their brand also because they're trying to take a stand. Normally you wouldn't see brands to take a stand, especially against the government and but as you can see, parang everything that they're doing is really courageous and very shady. So parang since a lot of people are really pissed off right now, so medyo nagkakaroon sila ng what do you call this?
Actually, yung ginagawa nila now is what you call news jacking. So they're injecting yung brand idea nila sa current events and new hot news topics ngayon. So that's why they're
correct. And then, babalik ako sa sinabi ni Andre kanina, no? Itong mga ginagawa nilang ads are not really against their brand, but I would like to think that they're being true to their brand, because I think they are rebellious as a brand. I can only surmise. I don't think that parang this out of the brand's character. So this is still true to their brand. Now na-amplify lang siya. And they amplify it through their social media content. Ganon. So again, a lot to be learned about just simple ads like that.
So a couple of more foundational lessons, kumbaga, that we can derive from this. One nga is being fast, no? Another, which is related to being fast, is just staying relevant. How to stay relevant. It seems to me that if we were to maybe that's one of our restart product lines, is a methodology for how do you figure out how to stay relevant. Because they stayed relevant fast, right? They didn't stop advertising. They're in there. It is a brilliant move from the company to stay relevant. But at the end of the day, definitely good storytelling, but more foundational than the storytelling is authenticity. It's the same with Alfred Coffee. It's authenticity. It's knowing who you are as a brand, knowing your values, knowing who you serve, and just in a very human way, translating that to a very different context. So I would encourage you guys to not just treat these as case studies to be told in sessions like these, but to parse out lessons from them and start creating buckets that day after day after day, we can start throwing additional things into each of these buckets, so that we are creating our own original point of view with our own original collection or curation of case studies. So again, I'm saying, don't just tell these as stories, tapos na. Derive the patterns of lessons, start creating buckets. From this story of Ligo, throws some aspects of it into the bucket that has to do with authenticity, into the bucket that has to do with brand love based on staying relevant, etc., if you know what I mean.
Right.
Okay. I think we don't have any outsiders here now, so we can do let me just do a quick scan. Yeah, we do not have any outsiders here, so we can end the first AHA Biz session.